We want to take a minute and talk about the notation we're going to use when we talk about functions, because it seems a little weird at first, but we want to make sure we understand what we're going to be seeing. So many times when we're talking about a function, we'll see something that looks like f of x, and then it will have an expression after it. So it may say something like f of x equals x squared plus 3. So it will have an expression that has the same variables as that's in the parenthesis here. So let's talk about what this means. Well, the f is really just the function's name, and we'll see in a minute that we could call it a different thing, but that f just lets us know that this is the function that we're going to call f. And then what's inside the parenthesis is what we call the argument. And it's going to be the variable that we're going to be allowed to plug things in for. And so that will always be in parentheses, and see, then we'll have equals and we'll have an expression in the same variable. Okay, so when we're talking about functions, we could say something like, we could give it a different name. So instead of saying f of x, we could say something like g of x. And that would just be a function that we're calling g instead of f. Or we could say h of x, and that would just be h. Now sometimes we'll want to use different variables than x. Many times this is when we have an application, and sometimes it's when we're using time. So we might have a word problem that involves time, and then we might use t instead of x. So we might see something like f of t, and then our expression that we would have might be something like t squared minus 5, or whatever it is. Sometimes we'll see things that say like s of t, and that would just mean the function's name is s, and the variable that we're plugging in is t. Okay, now the question is, how do we evaluate functions? So remember, we've talked about functions being like a machine. So if we have f of x, what we're doing is we're putting in an x value, and we're getting out what we call f of x. This is like getting out our y value when we're graphing it. So to evaluate functions, if we're given the function I talked about up there, f of x equals x squared plus 3, and we want to evaluate it, say at f of 2, well, what this means is wherever there's an x, put in a 2. So we would say 2 squared plus 3, and then we would evaluate that. So 2 squared is 4, plus 3 is 7. So let's try a couple here. So this says that our function f of x is equal to x plus 3, and we want to find f of 2 and f of negative 1. Okay, so if you think about this, if we have, this is a function, a little machine, where what we're doing is we're going to put in x values, we're going to take that x and add 3 to it, and we're going to get out the f of x values, or the y values. You can kind of think of f of x and y as the same thing. So here we're saying if we want to put in 2, well, we would do 2 plus 3, which would be 5, so f of 2 would be equal to 5. So we would write this as f of 2 equals, and where there's an x, we would put in a 2, 2 plus 3. So f of 2 equals 5. And then f of negative 1, we would put a negative 1 in where there's an x. Negative 1 plus 3, and that is equal to 2. So we would say f of 2 equals 5, and f of negative 1 equals 2. And what we've really done is created ordered pairs that are on the graph. Remember, these inside the parentheses are the x values, and these that we get out are the y values. So this could be an ordered pair 2, 5, and this could be an ordered pair negative 1, 2. Okay, so let's try another one here. It says if g of x is equal to x squared plus 2x plus 7, find g of 2. That means anywhere there's an x, we're going to plug in 2. So we'd have 2 squared plus 2 times 2 plus 7. So 4 plus 4 plus 7. And if we add those, we get 15. And then B asks us for g of 3. So that just means we're going to take this same function, x squared plus 2x plus 7, and plug in 3. So we'd have 3 squared plus 2 times 3 plus 7. And you could just plug this whole thing into your calculator. We would have 9 plus 6 plus 7, which gives us 15 plus 7 is 22. So g of 3 would be equal to 22.